All right, let's go ahead and move on to items on second reading. Let's go ahead with 9A, Ordinance 2018-5, a bill for an ordinance amending chapters 11.2 or 11.12 and 11.16 of the Longmont Municipal Code relating to impoundment and abandoned, publicly kept, or junked vehicles. If we could go ahead, are there any questions of staff before we open it up to the public invited to be heard? Mayor Pro Tem Christensen?
I'm sorry, not a question to staff, but just a reminder that last time this came up, Councilman Rodriguez and I both expressed that we wanted to give people an option of where they could go, instead of just saying, you can't do this here. You have to be able to say to them, you can't do it here, but you can do it here. So in other words, if the closest place is Loveland or Golden, then we need to give them a direction of where they can go when we give them a ticket.
All right, I guess the only thing that I wanted to comment rather than a question, I know that somebody's going to mention this, and I thought he was going to mention it last time, but I just want to make sure that we all understand. So I had a conversation with the city attorney, and the question I have about this particular ordinance is, let's suppose you park your car at 6 o'clock at night, or you park your car at 6 in the morning when you come home from work, and then you get in your car at 10 o'clock to go to work at night. You leave at night and all your neighbors don't see you move it, and they call the next morning after you've been working for a week saying that car is always there. And then we go out and we get a ticket, they put a notice on the car. What procedure or process is there when they come out and go to work and they see that little notice that they've gotten? What do they do? Because they're just gonna get towed the next day, or at least that's the fear. So under that scenario, how would this ordinance play out?
Mayor Eugene May, City Attorney. So I did check with our parking enforcement folks, and you can request that your tires be chalked to demonstrate that you did move.
So you can call up. So
Yeah.
in effect, there would
Old
be
school.
old school. So it's not a hearing, but there would be a hearing with the enforcement folks saying, "Hey, I moved my car," and they'd either believe or chalk. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the public hearing on this matter. John Flower.
Is this on? Yeah. Yeah, my name's John Flower. I live at 719 Pendleton out on the east side of town. My comment and my question really has to do with the ordinance and not with this particular amendment to it. I don't see any problem with the amendment. But just as was brought up by a couple of council people, that what really are you going to do with these people? When I saw this coming up, I fully understand the reason why this ordinance was put in place was because we had people living in RVs in front of houses where they had no relationship with those people. And that's a problem. If that was in front of my house, I would be demanding some action. My concern, as with many other people I've talked to, I have an RV. It's not real big. It's 23 feet long. I park it in front of my house. Nobody lives in it. It's mine. It's my second car. I use it to go shopping in. I don't have another car. I mean, we got the car that when my wife's out doing something, that's the one I use. The understanding I had when the original one was put together, and I was here for that hearing, is that this is complaint driven. In other words, if I park it there for a week and nobody has a problem with it, then I don't have a problem. And one time I did get a little ticket on it, and I believe that what happened then was somebody was complaining about a house trailer, not my RV, that was a couple blocks away, and when the code enforcement people were out there, they just drove around and saw mine. I called them afterwards, and they insisted that isn't what happened, that somebody complained about that one, and I don't believe them. I'm sorry, don't believe that. I think they're just driving around looking for something. The way I want to make sure that the way this ordinance works is if it's a problem for neighbors and they actually complain about that one specifically, that's when you get a ticket. And the other thing says, okay, if you got this ticket, you got to move 600 feet away and then you can't come back in 7 days. I understand that that means if you're still gonna park it on the street. When I got that ticket, I moved it up in my driveway, which is not 600 feet away, but it's my property. And I sometimes have it on my driveway, I sometimes have it in the street. I think the way this ordinance was put together is a little bit loose on people in my situation where I've got an RV and I put it up in the driveway, sometimes I put it in the street. That's not what the ordinance is written for. And it's really not causing a problem. It's a nice shiny new RV, it doesn't, not an old junky one. Can the city attorney clarify that this really is complaint driven and not just people from code enforcement driving around looking for someone to put a ticket on?
I've got thoughts, but Mr. May?
Go ahead.
Mayor and Council, Eugene May, so I would defer speaking on the enforcement issue to the folks who actually enforce it in terms of whether it's complaint driven or not. But I can confirm that it's about sleeper vehicles or trailer parked on public property, including any portion of a highway, street, alley, or other right-of-way. So if it was moved on to private property, that provision would not apply.
All right, thank you.
But if I got the ticket, then that would be complying?
Yeah.
Because that's what I did, and I didn't have any further problem.
You should be good.
You got a comment?
No, I was going to say something very similar, but
Yeah.
I'm acting as...
Yeah, I was just concerned. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Stand tall.
Mayor Brian Bagley and council, thank you for allowing me to speak. And this thing's, now is that working? Okay. I'm Stan Toll. I'm a longtime resident here in the city of Longmont. Pretty heavily disabled at this time. What I have here is I have this little citation here. And, you know, they crossed off the back, and then they put some of the the ordinance that supposedly I'm in violation. And essentially what this says here, it says, notice of intent to impound. Okay, this is the Longmont Police Department hereby gives notice to impound this vehicle after 11/01/2017 if the vehicle does not come into compliance with the both indicated violation. Now, one of the things is that you look at the violation here. It says it's abandoned vehicle on public property. Abandoned public property vehicle, let's say that's a sleeper vehicle. Okay, whatever that means. So my response is that, you know, it's not abandoned. You know, the vehicle gets moved on a regular basis. It's the reason it's where it is that there's, you know, I have personal connections in that area, and it's, you know, it's not in front of somebody's house. It's in, so one of the things I looked here, I said, well, hey, you know, this is kind of vague. You know, what's a sleeper vehicle? And it's a public property, 48 hours. You know, so, you know, that didn't seem like it was, and the thing is, you know, they chalked my tires and stuff. But what it says here is that, okay, we don't have to give you another notice. So they're saying I'm in violation at this point, and let's say they decide I'm in violation again, they're just going to tow it. That's basically what this says. So now I'm kind of aware of both the U.S. and Colorado constitutions have, you know, the US, they have the Fourth Amendment, that anytime you have if the government's going to take your property, they have to go through a due process. They just can't sort of declare your property in violation of something.
I'm gonna have to cut you off, Stan.
Well,
It hurts, I know, but the time's up, and if I let you keep going, then I'm gonna have to let everybody keep going.
okay, can I just finish the one last thing?
I can't, I'm sorry. I know it's, of you of all people, I would love to have you keep going, but I just can't.
Just a public hearing. Well, I went to the court, couldn't get a hearing.
Okay, so, but what we can do, again, we can talk offline after, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Anyone else want to talk at the public hearing? No? All right, are there any other further questions, comments, concerns from council members? Councilmember Finley?
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. I would move passage of ordinance 2018-05.
It's been moved and seconded. Let's go ahead and vote. That passes 5-1 with Councilmember Martin against.